then my heart went boom suddenly, and we were on the moon, flying high in a neon sky.
Here's a picture with multi-layers. As some of you know, I used to do, when I was at British Airways, we used to do pantomimes at the British Airways Concorde Players, and I always got lumbered with taking the photographs and designing the program. And this is where Photoshop really came into its own here, because all these are layers here that I can turn off. See the writing disappearing and the lady there. All these layers, it's a way of building up a document. Very handy program, this, for doing this, Photoshop is. And there's the main cover, Eurobeat. Now, the purpose of me calling this up for you is to, if I haven't got this layers checked, I'll just uncheck it again for you. Say I wanted to move this type down. I wanted it a bit lower. You see, nothing happens. I'm clicking on it, or it goes highlighted sometimes, but I can't move it. It stayed on whatever I was on before. But if I click on Auto Select, keep your eye on this little face here. When I click on the face over here, watch what happens here. It goes to it. Really handy, that. So instead of, before I knew about this box, when I first got Photoshop, I was having to go over here, click on Directed by Craig Howard, and move him around like that. Without that selected, if I click on him, something else, I couldn't move it. You see, it always stays on Howard. Wherever I go, Howard moves. So that little button is wonderful. It just stops you having to go over here and select certain items. When I click on this Concorde here, it goes to the Concorde layer. I click on Directed by Howard, it goes to there. Click on the lady and it goes to that layer. So that's a really important little thing to have ticked there. Did you all follow that okay?
I did.
Yeah. I know people are scared of layers, but you've just got to think of it as all these are pieces of plastic clear sheeting laid on top of each other, and you're looking from top to bottom. Now, if I was to, let me see, what can I do here? If I was to click on this lady here and put her over behind you can actually move these layers around a bit. If I bring her down and put her to, see the lines go blue as I get there?
Yeah.
They go blue. If I let go, well, it hadn't worked. I'll go down one more. She's now disappeared behind this one. So this is, you're looking from the top downwards. Can you see what happened? I've got a page here. There she is. I've got a blank page here with my border on it. And because I dragged this layer down, she's now hiding behind this solid layer. That's
right.
why we can't see her. So this is how layers, this is the best way I can explain layers to you, looking down from the top through the layers. It's not until I put her back up. So there, see the blue line go again, and let go of the mouse. She's back. She's no longer blocked by this because you're seeing her before you get to this layer. You're probably all saying, how can I see this one? Well, it's over here, that's why. It's nowhere near under this page here. It's all clear there. Can you see that?
Yeah. So basically, you're creating an entry on a clear sheet, like a transparency, and you're placing them all one on top of the other.
That's it.
And if you've got one behind, like a text behind a picture, then you're obviously not going to see the text until you move it to one.
That's
in
right,
front.
yes, yeah.
Right. Okay.
See, as I move the lady across, I can blank off. Can't blank off the Concorde players because that's above, but
Right.
the hairspray is below, so I can block that off. See what I mean?
Yeah.
That Concorde players is up here somewhere, there, so you're going to see it as I go over. But the hairspray is underneath, so when I go down, it's going to cover that. So she's on her own little layer, so I could have put her down here if I wanted to, but she does sit better up there, doesn't she? Where's my border? That's it.
Right. If
The
you're
other good,
sorry, go on.
Carry on.
I was just going to say, if you're working on something, you've got to stop, and then you won't need to come back to it. What can you save it as? So it's all saved in the order, ready to edit again,
That
If
was,
you-
I was coming on to that. That's a very good question. I was coming on to that. If I
Okay,
was
I'll
to-
wait.
Pardon?
I'll wait then.
No, sir, I'll do it now. If I'm happy with my front and back cover of this DVD case, I would go up to File, Save, and I would save it. But if I save it as a JPEG, goodbye layers. It flattened it for you, which is the same as, see this little, see that up the top there where I'm waving about?
Yeah.
There's some little lines there. If I click on that, there's one down here called Flatten Image, and that would do the same as saving as a JPEG. It would disregard all the layers, squash them all together for one piece of paper or one file. So it's important, I won't do that yet because I want to keep it like that. It's important when you go File, Save As, that you do not make it a JPEG if you want to go back and do it again. Either a TIFF, see TIFFs lit up there, or a PSD. And that will keep your layers so you can go back in tomorrow night and change if you've spelt something wrong, like the director's name. You have all your layers intact and you can go back and change it. Does that answer your question, Karen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And it makes it a bigger file, doesn't it?
Much bigger file. Photoshop comes up with a warning sometimes. Do you want to, are you sure you want to save it with layers? Sometimes you end up with extra layers with nothing on them, and Photoshop's quite clever. It says, do you want to disregard layers? Say I turned her off and I went File, Save now. It would say, do you want to get rid of this because it's not being used? And I say, yes. But so it's important to keep it on because I want to keep it.
Once you've flattened the image, Dennis, can you then open it up back into Photoshop and add new layers to it?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
you can. Yeah, you can add. Say I forgot to put, I did the date wrong down here. I could go back in once it's flattened with my paintbrush tool, paint it out 2014 and put the right date in using the text tool. So yes, you could come back and add to it, but you've got no way afterwards of ever moving anything about it.
Yes. Yeah, I see.
Does the full functionality of Photoshop work with JPEG pictures that you import, or is it much more limited, or is it the fact that it works with JPEGs but obviously you've got less data to play with?
Your second comment, yeah, you can do everything you want to with a JPEG, except if it comes in as a RAW or a TIFF, you've probably got a little bit more quality if you want to do the brightness and do an enlargement of a certain area. Once it's a JPEG, a lot of stuff's been thrown away. I have a little demo later, if I can find it, that shows you just how much you chuck away when you first save your TIFF or PSD to a JPEG. It just shows you how much you throw away on that first save. It's quite a lot, actually. So if you want quality, just keep saving as a TIFF or a PSD. On that subject, I don't know if this happens on a Mac, but as you can see here, I've started saving as TIFFs now, because when you save as a PSD, it just comes up like this. You can't see what the picture is till you look at it. But if you go open up a TIFF, there's a TIFF there, I can see what it is, you see. So I've started now not to save as PSDs anymore. I went online a few days ago and looked up the differences, and there's no difference in quality. I think I'm right, Alan, in saying that, aren't I? No difference at all in quality?
I think that's absolutely correct. The difference is that with the TIFF, you get a thumbnail, which is what these things are here. So it saves it as a side file.
Yes. It's very annoying when you've just got a PSD thing. What is that? You know? So saving as a TIFF, you do get a little preview, which is very handy.
And are the file sizes approximately the same between PSD and TIFF?
I think they are, yes. I'm not quite sure, but they're obviously much bigger than a JPEG.
Yes.
But
I think PSDs are smaller than it.
Are they smaller?
That's part of the reason.
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
They're quite a lot smaller, I believe.
Oh, okay. So
The
that's
same
why.
quality.
So you need a big hard drive if you're saving TIFFs then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
According to Scott Kelby, anyway, I'm I'll go with it. He knows a lot
Yeah,
more
I'll go
about
with him.
Photoshop than me.
Yeah, I'll go with him. He knows more than I do. Yeah. The question Steve just answered, if I'd forgotten to put something else in here, you can go over to the text tool. Can you see the T there?
Yeah.
All got that, have you?
Yeah.
Click on the text tool. It gives you a little cursor. You can click and it comes up with this word that normally comes up when you're website designing. And you can just type in something else, you know. You've got full control over that, so you can type in, and that's on its own little layer now. There it is, see it? So as soon as you click on that text tool and type something,
A new layer is.
a new layer automatically comes up there. There we go. And so it enables you to position text quite nicely. If you didn't like the way it did, if I add to that and I put demo on the end there, these are stuck together like any word processor. So if you wanted to make your own spacing between, it's handy that you can actually create a brand new layer with the text tool over here. See the new layer over here? And
Right.
it gives you the ability to sort of position where you want to, you know.
Right.
One thing I'm going to touch on now, I'm probably going to show it a bit more later, is this demo here. Because it's on its own little layer there, I'll just make it a bit bigger by going back to the text tool, running the cursor backwards. Can you see the way it goes from a square? And as I get close to that O, the little square disappears around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see that? Once it's disappeared, click your left mouse button and drag over it. Like any word processor now, you've got the ability to up the size of that. So there's demo. This is where layers are really great, is you can go up to layer now at the top here and go on to layer style, and you've got all these great things you can do with that layer. I can have a nice drop shadow behind my demo. See that? And you can alter it here. You can make it away from that shadow, away from it. You can make the spread more. You can even alter the angle of the light coming to that shadow. That's not the opacity. Where's the angle? Here's the angle, sorry. You can actually move that shadow around. Can you see now it's lit from the other way around?
Yeah.
You can, if it's too thick for you, you can always just back off the slider or add some more to it. And of course, if you want to really make it stand out, you can click on the color bit here, go for a bit of bold red. And now it's going to look awful, but a nice bit of red around it as well. And you've got the all these things you can do to it. I can put a stroke around it. I can do a satin finish on the writing. Lots of things you can do. It's a handy little thing, isn't it?
Where's the fonts you can choose from?
That was when I created it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I click on the text tool again, come over here, square around it, get close, the square disappears, drag over, and you've got all your fonts.
Oh, it's at the top. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
As usual, yeah. So it's not just for text. If I was to click on Our Lady, let's just do that. If I click on Our Lady here, that's gone there, you see, it's all gone there because I've got that little auto select ticked. You following this okay, guys? Yeah?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Because she's on a layer, I can now apply a layer style to her as well. So I can do a drop shadow. Actually, it's done the whole picture rather than her, but you get my meaning. If she was a cutout, I could actually put a shadow behind her.
Yeah.
Right.
So lots of wonderful things you can do. That's messed it up, hasn't it? Shouldn't fiddle with buttons. You don't know what they do.
Go back.
Yeah. So I hope that, guys, shows you how useful layers are. The next one I've got in here is this was a complicated one to line up everything. This was all done in exactly the same way, except I've got all these pictures for publicity pictures. These were all shot on a green screen, and I spent hours cutting them out and putting them in Hansel and Gretel backgrounds, which I managed to download. So there's all these individual pictures, and of course they're all movable. If I highlight this layer, I can think, well, I didn't like. Oh no, they're all separate. Sorry, get off.
How can you group them as they seem to have been?
Sorry?
You seem to have grouped them so they all move together as well.
Yes, that was, I could have done that by holding the shift key down.
Oh, like you do select with
Yeah, they're all highlighted now,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
If you've moved something, you think, I wish I hadn't done that, go up to Edit, Undo Move, or Control Z. That's another shortcut is in my brain.
I use that a lot.
They're all back now, yeah. So to undo all the selection, just click on one. So they are, positioned them all around. I've put a little, this one here, you see, I've actually put some effects on it, a bevel, an emboss, and a drop shadow. That's on this one here. Now to save doing it to all of them, which would be very time consuming, what you can do is you right click, another brilliant menu comes out, and you just run down to copy layer style. Yeah. Now once I click that, that goes into the memory, and it's already on these pictures, but I'll click on another one here, and it's already there. But I could then just click on this layer, right click again, and go to paste layer style, and that would put the stroke and everything I've done to that layer on that new layer. So it's a real time saver to be able to copy a style you put on text or a photograph, copy it into the clipboard, find the new place you want to do it, and paste it back down. Saves you hours. As you can see on all these, they've all got the bevel and emboss all the way down. So that's a good little time saver, that. There again, if I've made a mistake on Tracy's name, I can just go over and click on chorus up the top here. That's the chorus icon. Over to the text tool, just highlight Tracy's name and redo her name if I've made a spelling error. So nothing set in stone here. The only time consuming bit was getting all these dots. I've since found out there was a paragraph setting in Photoshop would have done this for me, but I didn't know it at the time. It can make sure your ends are nice and straight, both ends, and put the dots like a cinematic title in there for you. So
could you do that kind of thing in a word processor like Word and then paste it in here?
You could do, yes, you could do, providing you've got the same fonts in, you know, Windows fonts as the fonts you're designing the artwork for. Yeah, you could do, yeah. So all these things are changeable. I mean, if that chorus is not big enough, I can just come across and make it bigger. Yeah. So has that helped you guys if you want to design a flyer or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent.
very clever.
Layers is the way to go. And if I just turn the there it all is, just sitting in fresh air with the background. So you can always change this background if you want to. And of course, by going up to image adjustments levels, I could actually make this darker background, you know, make it stand out more. So providing you got that layer selected, you can do anything you like to a layer. Brightness, I could even make it a mono if I wanted to. So there you go then. Is that not too confusing for everybody? Is that okay?
Very clear.
Good.
Yeah. I think this is the way of showing how layers work, you know.